Yoonju works as a tour guide in a small company with the aim of purchasing her childhood home. To achieve this goal, she takes on multiple part-time jobs to save enough money. Despite her efforts to stay in touch, she finds it difficult to reach her twin sister who lives overseas. Eventually, Yoonju successfully buys the house and is flooded with memories of her family, particularly her parents who tragically passed away in the same house before leaving her and her twin sister in an orphanage. Meanwhile, we are introduced to Taein, the lead vocalist of the LOONA music band. Despite not being a well-known band, the group puts in a lot of effort to increase their popularity. In order to achieve this, they release a new song and Taein goes undercover in the crowd to witness the song's launch. However, he accidentally bumps into Yoonju, who was on her way to make a delivery. This causes Yoonju to attack Taein. In the chaos, Taein manages to escape by removing his helmet before his true identity is revealed. Following the unsuccessful song launch, the band receives negative reviews, leading to a decrease in their popularity. In response, the band intensifies their training and hard work in preparation for their upcoming concert. Despite this setback, the band successfully holds a concert, slowly rebuilding their reputation. However, at the conclusion of the concert, Taein collapses completely on the ground. Upon being taken to the hospital, the doctor informs Pil-soon, the band's manager, that Taein had been consuming a large amount of sleeping pills recently, resulting in his current condition. Meanwhile, Yoonju's twin sister has finally returned to Korea. The first thing Sunju does is meet her sister Yoonju. Yoonju greets Sunju happily, but Sunju requests her sister to stop contacting her, stating that since she was adopted by a wealthy family overseas and changed her last name, she no longer considers her as her sister. Sunju emphasizes that Yoonju did not attempt to contact her again. Instead, she offered money to stay away. Shocked, Yoonju rejects the money, expressing that all she wants is her sister. After scolding Sunju, Yoonju leaves angrily. She returns home in tears, accompanied by her best friend Baryun, who tries to comfort her. The following day, upon arriving at the new house, a woman approaches and questions Yoonju about her identity, revealing that she is actually the true owner. Yoonju insists that she purchased the house, but the woman insists that she never sold it. Realizing she has been scammed through a real estate company, Yoonju rushes to the police station to file a report, only to be informed that the company is so professional that it is nearly impossible to uncover their scams. Yoonju sits on the street, crying over the loss of her money and drinking. She hears the sound of a guitar playing and turns around to see Taein in hospital clothes. Exhausted, she falls asleep in her spot, and when she wakes up the next day, she finds that the guy is also asleep on the bench. Yoonju approaches Taein, not knowing his true identity, and when she touches his face, he awakens and pushes her away, mistaking her for a pervert sneaking into his room. However, he soon realizes that they are both actually sleeping on the street. A group of fans gathers around Taein within a few minutes, causing him to make a quick escape, but unfortunately he is photographed by someone. Upon seeing the pictures online, Yoonju learns that Taein is the main vocalist in LOONA's band. At the hospital, the doctor informs Taein and Pil-soon that he is actually walking in his sleep. She advises him to seek the help of a private therapist until he makes a full recovery. Sunju is introduced as a possible doctor for Taein, but he rejects the idea. Despite his reluctance, Pil-soon argues that it's necessary to avoid rumors about the band. Yoonju finds out that a man pretending to be from a real estate company has racked up a debt in her name, leaving her to deal with the consequences. She decides to confront Sunju to retrieve the money. Upon arriving at the hotel where her sister is staying, Yoonju is mistaken for Sunju by Pil-soon and is taken to meet Taein as his private therapist. Taein immediately recognizes Yoonju and refuses her offer to treat him before she can explain herself. Yoonju goes to the front desk to inquire about Sunju and is initially mistaken for her before clarifying that she is her twin sister. The receptionist informs Yoonju that Sunju has left the country again. Returning to the band's residence, Pil-soon tells them that he has arranged for a private doctor to stay with them. However, they all refuse this idea, stating that sharing a living space with a female would be uncomfortable for everyone. Nevertheless, during the night, Taein sleepwalks again, and none of them are able to prevent or control him. The next morning, they inform Pil-soon that they have reconsidered and agree to the private doctor staying with them. Meanwhile, Yoonju is kidnapped by loan sharks who threaten her, warning that if she does not repay her debt within 3 months, they will seek revenge. After being released, Yoonju expresses gratitude for her twin sister's help in her absence and calls Pil-soon to accept the job offer. The following day, she arrives at the band's residence with her belongings and inquires if the idols are well-mannered and quiet. Pil-soon assures her that they are. Upon entering the establishment, she witnesses the members engaging in a physical altercation, leading her to understand that her life will no longer be peaceful. Yoonju begins to interact with the members and attempts to become better acquainted with Taein. During a private conversation, Taein reprimands her harshly, stating that he did not accept her presence as a doctor and that he is only complying with Pil-soon's orders. He makes it clear that he will not allow her to come near him, instructing her to pretend to heal him within a month before departing, and emphasizing that none of the members are accepting her. Nevertheless, upon leaving, she receives a warm welcome from Woo Yun, who has prepared some food for her. In a flashback involving Woo Yun, it is revealed that he had seen Yoonju at the library previously and found her to be adorable. Later that night, she positions herself outside Taein's room in anticipation of him sleepwalking again. This results in her staying awake all night, leading to a sour mood in the morning. The boys began arguing with each other and throwing food on the breakfast table. Yoonju became angry and scolded them, stating that they were behaving like children and she was not a babysitter. She spoke to them in a firm manner that made them stop their actions. Yoonju then visited a psychiatrist, pretending to sleepwalk and taking notes on how to manage her condition. Upon returning, she wrote down the questions the doctor had asked her to ask Taein. However, she spotted Taein driving out of the building and assumed he was sleepwalking, so she followed him. She found him standing on the rooftop and mistakenly believed he was going to fall, so she rushed to rescue him. However, she received a strong reprimand from Taein, who was actually awake, reminding her that he had previously warned her not to meddle in his life. Despite this setback, she did not give up and began researching his condition from her own home. Her focus shifted when she heard Taein bumping into furniture as he sleepwalked. She tried to prevent him from hurting himself, but he accidentally kissed her during a fall. To save face, he pretended to still be asleep. Feeling flustered, Yoonju decided to seek help from Woo Yun. Woo Yun, though aware of what had transpired, chose to remain silent. The following day, Taein attempted to act as if nothing had happened, but he found himself feeling irritated whenever he crossed paths with Yoonju. Upon noticing Yoonju's frustration, Woo Yun attempted to assist by providing her with some books to read during her sleepless nights. Shortly after, Yoonju receives a call from Pil-soon inquiring about Taein's condition. Despite falsely reassuring him that everything is fine, Pil-soon expresses his desire to secretly observe Taein himself. With no alternative, Yoonju decides to speak to Taein and instructs him to comply with her requests in order to convince Pil-soon of his well-being. She informs Taein that if he appears to be improving, there is a greater chance she will leave him. Taein eventually agrees to cooperate and accompanies Yoonju to the garden where she instructs him to sketch the first thing that comes to mind. Initially hesitant, Taein eventually complies. After some time, Yoonju falls asleep, and Taein gazes at her, feeling calm for the first time in his life. However, the moment was quickly disrupted when Yoonju unexpectedly sneezed, causing Taein's painting to get ruined. Despite this, he walked away feeling inspired to compose a new song. Later that night, Yoonju sat with Woo Yun, attempting to establish a connection with him as she felt isolated and disliked among the group. Woo Yun warmly welcomed her friendship, encouraging her to come to him if she ever needed someone to talk to. As he went to get her a drink, Yoonju noticed Lee Shin returning to the house and questioned him about his whereabouts, to which he explained that he was meeting a friend. Seeing lipstick on his cheek, she warned him about the potential consequences of love rumors and how they could harm his career. Lee Shin assured her that he would be more cautious and asked her to keep his secret. Yoonju continues to help Taein by taking him to climb a mountain for relief the next day. She tries to understand the root of his illness, and he reveals that he prefers solitude and composing music over interacting with people. Taein explains that he is putting pressure on himself to prove his singing abilities to someone. During a conversation, they overhear two girls gossiping about Luna, criticizing Taein and expressing admiration for another music band. Yoonju confronts the girls and retaliates by spreading rumors about the other band. The girls warn her about the legal consequences of spreading false information, but Yoonju insists that they were the ones who started the rumors, not her. Taein escorts Yoonju away. Upon their return, Taein is confronted by his father, who questions his presence there, expressing concern over rumors circulating about him. It is evident through a flashback that Taein harbors resentment towards his father, who would physically reprimand him for mistakes while playing the piano. The father, a renowned composer of classical music rather than pop, feels ashamed of his son's lack of talent in the same field. Yoonju accidentally overhears their conversation and faces Taein's wrath when he harshly scolds her. Subsequently, Taein goes to rehearsal with his friends at the company, but his intense guitar playing results in a hand injury. Woo-yeon intervenes and urges him to return home. Upon seeing his injury, Yoonju attempted to assist him, but he rejected her help and angrily proclaimed that she should not interfere in his affairs. He retreated to his room, and although Yoonju heard sounds coming from inside, she hesitated to enter. Eventually, she went in and discovered Taein hitting his head against the wall in his sleep. He resisted her attempts to stop him at first, but eventually calmed down after she reassured him that he is not a failure as his father claimed. Taein cried and fell asleep in her arms. Upon waking up, he found Yoonju beside him and shouted at her for entering his room. Upon noticing marks on her neck, he asked if he had caused them, to which she responded affirmatively. Instead of feeling remorse, he inquired about what she intended to do with the situation. Yoonju was shocked and insisted she did not want anything from him and would keep the incident to herself. Taein confesses to Yoonju that he doubted her innocence, explaining that everyone he knew tried to take advantage of him. In response, Yoonju denies this accusation but requests an apology from Taein. Taein refuses to apologize but offers to compensate her in his own way. The following day, Yoonju devises a plan to wear out Taein so that he falls asleep easily. She decides to join a taekwondo class with a skilled member named Jaeon, who rigorously trains Taein. Impressed by Jaeon's abilities, Yoonju asks him to teach her as well. However, Jaeon is too shy to agree to her request. Later, Taein buys a scarf for Yoonju to conceal her neck, only to find that Woo-yeon has already given her a scarf, causing Taein to feel upset but not express his feelings. The band then gathers to discuss the launch of their new song. Upon entering his room, Taein stays up late composing a new song. As he exits, he finds Yoonju camping outside. She then prepares a drink for him and questions why he overworks himself. Taein explains that composing music is challenging and she hasn't heard his songs before, so she doesn't understand the difficulty. Yoonju recalls hearing him play the guitar when they first met, mentioning that it comforted her when she was sad. Touched by her words, Taein admits that it was his first song. He plays the same song on the piano, but Yoonju notes it sounds different from what she heard. Despite his attempts to recreate it, Yoonju helps him remember the tune and sings along. The following day, the band prepares for their concert and heads to their van. Although they take a break due to the long journey ahead, they grab some food, but unfortunately, Yoonju spots the bus from the real estate company where she used to work. She quickly hides to avoid being seen. As they continue their journey and arrive at the stage to practice before the concert, Jaeon appears slightly nervous. When Woo-yeon inquires about his demeanor, Jaeon claims it is just nerves. He excuses himself from the group to meditate, but is approached by a member of another music band, revealing the reason for his nervousness. Meanwhile, Taein and Yoonju take a break in the van, with Yoonju desperately needing to use the restroom but hesitating to leave Taein alone. Upon noticing her discomfort, Taein advises her to go and assures her he will not sleep while she's gone. Upon reaching the bathroom, Yoonju encounters a famous actress who asks for help with her dress, which Yoonju willingly assists with. However, upon exiting the bathroom, she realizes there is a storm approaching. The decision is made to cancel the concert, but Taein is nowhere to be found in the van. Yoonju informs Pil-soon of his absence and begins searching for him. Yoonju discovers his phone on the ground and calls out his name until she locates him near a tree. Once he wakes up, Taein reassures her that he is fine. They attempt to leave the forest but end up getting lost as darkness falls. Fortunately, they spot a house in the forest and decide to spend the night there. Upon entering, Yoonju notices Taein has a fever from walking in the rain. They start a fire and sit by it. Taein comments on the scarf around Yoonju's neck, but she explains it was a gift from Woo-yeon and she treasures it. Despite this, he takes the scarf and doesn't return it. Taein expresses gratitude for Yoonju saving him, but she apologizes for leaving him alone to go to the bathroom. She hands him his phone, only for him to realize it's not working. He mentions that many of his compositions are on the phone, leading Yoonju to feel regret and apologize once more, sharing that she understands the pain of losing everything. Taein then expresses his desire to sleep, prompting Yoonju to tie their hands together to prevent him from leaving like before. Upon awakening and seeing her asleep, Taein regains his inspiration. Believing a call from Yoonju's phone may be from Pil-seon coming to rescue them, he answers but discovers it is actually a creditor addressing Yoonju by her real name. Taein pretends the phone belongs to a doctor named Sunju and ends the call. When Yoonju wakes up, Taein inquires about Yoonju, to which she denies knowing anyone by that name, explaining that she receives numerous calls from men demanding money from someone named Yoonju. Although he has suspicions, Taein does not confront her. When they return, Yoonju expresses regret to Pil-seon for not looking after Taein properly, but Taein defends her by claiming it was his own fault entirely. Upon entering his room, he reminisces about the moments that inspire him when he sees Yoonju asleep. He decides to test this inspiration by asking her to spend an entire day with him from morning till night to ensure he does not sleepwalk. However, she informs him that she is unavailable that day. Yoonju then visits a psychiatrist in anticipation of the next step in her treatment. After the session, on her way back to the residence, she is intercepted by her friend Baryeon. Baryeon questions her about working as a maid for Luna. Yoonju is reluctantly compelled to share everything with Baryeon. Baryeon then encourages her to continue her actions, reminding her of how she was helping those in need and giving her hope that she can assist Taein. Upon returning home, Taein was waiting for her and inquired about her whereabouts. Yoonju informed him that she was with her friends. However, when he struggles to find inspiration, he sits in front of her, looking at her to regain his creativity. The next morning, John visits the doctor and is told that he is experiencing difficulty moving his hands and using his fingers. After an examination, the doctor concludes that it may be a psychological issue rather than a physical one. Upon returning, Jian attempts to play the piano but fails. Yoonju notices and asks him if he is okay. He confides in her and stresses that he didn't want anyone else to know his problem. She takes him to a restaurant where they discuss why he loves Taekwondo. He explains that Taekwondo makes him feel strong yet forgiving towards his opponents. Yoonju appreciates his perspective and describes him as a strong individual. Following that, Yoonju takes Taein to various natural locations, as per the doctor's recommendation to spend more time in nature to help with her illness. Taein inquires how Yoonju knows about these places despite living most of her life in America. She fabricates a story about visiting the place during her childhood. Taein asks her about her background, and she reveals that she was adopted into a wealthy American family and has a twin sister who is considered a failure and foolish for still believing that she is loved. Taein is surprised by her words, stating that she didn't seem that cruel, considering she knows nothing about her sister's life. She admits that he is correct as she truly doesn't know much about her sister. Together, they watch the sunset and Taein finds inspiration in Yoonju. Later, Luna and another band perform, with only Jaeon and Yoo Chan representing their band. Jaeon becomes nervous upon seeing the other group members and leaves the room, followed by Yoo Chan who asks what's wrong. Jaeon confesses that he will not attend the show. Meanwhile, Yoonju falls ill and Woo-yeon takes care of her. When Taein learns about this, he attempts to visit Yoonju but Woo-yeon stops him, explaining that she got sick from sleeping in front of his room. But when he heard her sneezing, he can't stop himself from going to check on her, making her happy. Jaeon and Yoo Chan return home upset. Jaeon shocks everyone by expressing his desire to leave the band. Woo-yeon tries to understand his reasons, but Jaeon simply states that he doesn't want the band to suffer because of him. Taein steps in, telling Jaeon that he is free to leave if he wishes. Upon exiting, Yoonju trailed behind him, attempting to prevent him from leaving, but he declined and advised her to look after Taein, ensuring his well-being. Upon re-entering the room, Yoonju discovered Taein in a fit of anger, expressing his desire for no one to mention on. Yoonju reprimanded him, claiming he knew nothing about his friend and had let him go too easily. Taein retreated to his room, with Yoonju following him and scolding him once more, mentioning that Jaeon had confided in her about his concerns regarding Taein's well-being. The following day, Yoonju takes Woo-yeon to Jaeon's house, but his mother informs them that Jaeon is not home and she has no information about him leaving the band. They then visit the Taekwondo club and inquire about Jaeon to the coach, who advises them that Jaeon is not present, but they later spot his sneakers and realize he is hiding inside. Returning to the group, they disclose that Jaeon is hiding at the Taekwondo club, indicating a potential serious issue. This is what Taein heard. At night, he wandered alone in the garden when he felt Yoonju hugging his back, driving his heart crazy.